Hello, everybody. This is Tim here again, here with another BoomStick critique. I figured I just watched this movie recently, so instead of doing another corn movie review right off the bat, I figured why not do this film since it's once again the next biggest comic book movie of the year I've seen. X-Men Apocalypse. But anyway, just to jump into X-Men Apocalypse, as far as my opinions of the X-Men films go, I do enjoy the first X-Men. I think it's a good movie. I think the second one, X-Men 2, X-Men United, is a great movie. I love X-Men 2. X-Men 3, I think, sucks. X-Men Origins Wolverine, I think, sucks. And The Wolverine, I actually really enjoy. First Class, I think, is my First Class I think is a great movie. Honestly, I really like First Class as well. X-Men: Days of Future Past is my favorite of the franchise. I love that one. Now on to Apocalypse. Well, I guess if you count Deadpool, that one would be my absolute favorite. I fucking love Deadpool. But now just to jump into this one, X-Men Apocalypse. As far as this film goes in the rankings, um, I'd give it 3 out of 4. To me, this is a good movie. It's not great, and it's definitely not a masterpiece, but it is good. The best things about this movie, seeing young Jean Grey, young Cyclops, those are the best things. Seeing all the young mutants and the young actors play the young mutants like Nightcrawler and everybody, they're all great. You get Jennifer Lawrence back in this film, who spends 90% of the movie without the Mystique makeup, just as herself. So it's kind of like, why? What? This movie really does feel like the ending of the franchise, or at least the wrapping up of the major story of the movie. Mystique joins the X Men at the end and becomes a good guy and a member of the team. You get a Wolverine cameo in here just to show where Wolverine gets the medal for his claws in the new timeline that's been made after Days of Future Past. It's the only reason he's here. Pretty much the mutants get apprehended by Stryker, and they break out of his facility. Jean Grey and Cyclops do, and they run into Wolverine, who they let loose, and he like wipes everybody out in a cool action scene. You get this really cool moment between Wolverine and Jean Grey where she like puts her hands on his head and calms his mind down, snaps him out of his animal rage. That was cool. Honestly, that's a better moment than he ever had with Jean Grey in any of the other 3 movies they were in together. Well, I guess she kind of had a supporting cameo role or whatever in the Wolverine. But the Jean Grey and Cyclops relationship and Wolverine relationship, like the love triangle they had going in the other movies, the first 3, never really worked because they never really developed the Cyclops and Jean Grey relationship hardly at all in the first 3 movies. And the Wolverine and Jean Grey relationship was just tremendously forced. It was just Wolverine pining after her for no reason whatsoever. There was no reason ever given to why he loves her so much. He just woke up in the X Mansion in the first movie and said, "Hey, I love you. You're hot." Whatever. It never made any sense. And all she did was keep saying, "No, I love Cyclops," and she's still with Cyclops in the movie franchise. So it really doesn't. It really never amounted to anything. So, but anyway, that the love triangle was all fucked up in the original 3 movies. Here, it's actually their moment here together is more touching than anything they ever had in other movies. But they're really laying the groundwork for the relationship between Jean Grey and Cyclops in this movie. They're the two that can't control their powers, so they hit it off, and you get a little, love seeds blooming. So you know they're going to be a couple. This is actually the most the characters have ever been really connected in any of the films. Jean Grey and Cyclops, I mean. You get Apocalypse in the movie played by Oscar Isaacs. Now I know a lot of people talk about his makeup, how he looks like Ivan Ooze or whatever. But seeing him in the film at the beginning, when I first saw him, he does look kind of silly in daylight. When you see him, he looks kind of silly. But I got used to his look and started to enjoy it. I thought he was good. I thought he was a good villain. As a matter of fact, out of all the movies, he would be my third favorite villain after Magneto's number 1, easy. Stryker from X2 would be number 2. Um, and then Apocalypse here would be number 3. He's good, but he's not great. He's not mind blowing or anything. Don't get me wrong. He's just good. Problems is whenever he's just being creepy or whatever and wiping people out, he's really cool. But when he like monologues and he's like, "We will build a better world," he's just really campy and silly. Big problem with the movie is it hits over and over a lot of the exact same fucking story beats from the other movies. It almost feels like just a cramming redo in of the first 3 movies, just like meshed together and hitting the same exact story beats again. Magneto has a whole new family here. He's living at peace with humans. He has a whole new family, even though he's already got Quicksilver. So he has a whole new family. Of course, his family gets killed in an accident. Next thing, get shot with an arrow by police. So they just get wiped out. So he goes from good to bad again. It's the same repeat storyline, and he just gives off the same lines where he's like, "I'm Magneto." It's the same shit over again. That's a big problem with the movie. Another problem is you spend a lot of time with the four horsemen at the beginning or whatever, with them like getting built up in Apocalypse, adding them to his team, and then they just disappear for a lot of the movie until the big climax. Another problem is the end of this movie, or when you get to the third act, it's just nonstop destruction porn, really. And even though some of it is really cool, it just kind of you're just like after a while, you just wore out. It's that kind of thing. But Apocalypse is a badass. I loved how much of a badass he was. When he's like, he takes like sand just like off the wall and fucking like flings it, and it like decapitates like two or three people. That was awesome. And he like makes some dude merge with the wall. That was fucking badass. You get another awesome Quicksilver scene here. Not as amazing as the one from Days of Future Past. This one, it's like to the arithmetics. Sweet dreams are made of this. It's a really cool scene. It's like when the X mansion gets blowed up by Apocalypse, pretty much, and Quicksilver shows up to save everybody, and he does, and it's playing that song, and he saves like a tremendous amount of people. It's a really cool scene, just not as amazing as the time in a bottle scene from Days of Future Past. Ultimately, because it goes on a little bit too long and feels like a repeat, but still really cool. Another problem is you get the same shit over again with Professor X, James McAvoy, and Michael Fassbender, where he's like, "There is good in you, Eric. Please join us." And then, of course, at the end of the movie, after he's killed countless people, Magneto goes, "You know what? Maybe I am doing something wrong here. Just maybe. You know what? Uh, you know what, Charles? I side with you again until the next movie." That shit's just getting real old. At the end of the movie, Magneto even pretty much becomes a good guy again. He becomes a good dude again at the end. So he goes from good to bad, back to good. So it's just kind of really repetitive, repeated at this point. I mean, it's just obnoxious now. It's become like a running gimmick, like a running gag. Michael Fassbender is good here, though. All the acting is fine. Only Apocalypse seems really silly at times when he gives his monologues. Those are stupid. But other than that, he's really badass and cool. And the final fight at the end, I loved. All the mutants have to like gang up on him. The only way they can beat him is every mutant has to gang up on him. Every X-Man, including Magneto, who of course is now turned to the good side, and they all have to gang up on him and wipe him out. Oh, another thing, the four horsemen are Angel. He didn't really impress me. Archangel didn't. He's just a dude with wings who can shoot metal feathers. That's pretty much it. He just gets blown up and dies. Um, Psylocke, Olivia Munn was cool, but she doesn't get to do much until the big final with the action, but she's really cool in that. Storm was cool, and the actor here I felt did better and captured the character better than Holly Berry ever did. She was cool, Storm was cool, but once again, she disappears for a majority of the movie until the end. And of course, she becomes a good guy. Psylocke doesn't die, she just kind of runs off after the battle's over. Archangel gets killed, though, or at least he should be dead, because there's no damn way he could have survived the explosion that happens to him in the movie. But you also get Rose Byrne back. She was in First Class. She really doesn't seem needed here. She didn't seem like she needed to come back. But the fact she's back, though, I think it's cool though that they brought her back. It gives it like a nice, gives the films a nice symmetry. It's kind of it's cool that they brought her back, but she's ultimately useless. Cyclops' brother Havoc gets killed in the movie in the explosion at the X Mansion. Another thing is Quicksilver knows that Magneto's his dad, and every time he keeps saying he wants to tell him he's coming to meet his dad, but every time he meets Magneto, he refuses to tell him for some reason. Why is never explained whatsoever. But at the end of the movie, Magneto gets offered to stay and work at the school, but he decides to go do his own thing and just live off in the wilderness again. Um, and of course, they rebuilt the X Mansion. So, Apocalypse gets destroyed when all the mutants, all the X-Men gang up on him, and then it's really cool. They're all shooting their powers at him at the same time. It's a really cool scene, and he's also battling Professor Xavier in a mind battle inside his mind because he wants to take Xavier's body. Because Apocalypse, like every couple of centuries, will like switch to a new body. That's how he keeps going, like a quasi immortality or whatever. And so they're battling him every which way, including the mind. And Jean Grey also starts fighting him in the mind, and she unleashes her hidden Phoenix powers. And that's what finally overpowers him. Plus, everybody else shooting him with their powers at the same time, and he gets disintegrated from everybody attacking him at once, including the Phoenix. So he goes out like a badass. It takes a lot to take him out. He goes out like a boss. but but then yeah, back to the end. When you get to the end, it's just them rebuilding X Mansion. Everything's okay. Magneto goes off on his own. Mystique is now a full-fledged hero. She's a complete hero now. Beast has become accustomed to his blue look. He's at peace now with the way he looks, being blue, whatever. And Mystique is too at peace with what she looks like. And they're on the X Men team, and they're both blue. And everybody's there training in the Danger Room, and you get the Sentinels actually walk out from Days of Future Past. They come out and they're gonna test their powers against them in the Danger Room, which is really cool. And then that's where the film ends. It ends with the X Men team getting formed. So I like the ending with the Sentinels. I thought it was neat. Nice little homage and a good way to end it. Oh, Professor Xavier loses his hair in the movie when Apocalypse is trying to do a transference into his body and take over his body. His hair gets destroyed in the process, so that's how he goes bald. So solve that mystery. But yeah, all in all, the destruction porn goes on too long. Some of the character arcs are finished very forcefully, like Beast being okay with being blue. That's just like kind of threw in there that he's now okay with being blue towards the middle of the movie, whatever. And the whole Magneto repeat thing is horrible. In the next movie, he has to be just a good guy. Please don't repeat this same shit again. If you repeat this again, I will honestly probably walk out of the theater. If the next movie does this again, this was so tiresome in this movie. Oh, another thing, they take a really hilarious jab at X-Men 3 in this movie. Mystique and Cyclops go to see Return of the Jedi, and when they're walking out, Cyclops goes, "That was pretty good," and Mystique goes, "Yeah, Empire Strikes Back was better though. It was a braver movie and had a dark ending." And she goes, or not? Did I say Mystique? I meant Jean Grey. Yeah, Jean Grey is talking about it, and she goes, yeah, the third movie is always the worst of the franchise. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, all in all, I'd give it 3 stars. If you're a fan of these movies and you enjoy these characters and you've been watching them since like the first Fox movie or whatever, it's a good movie. It does turn to pure shit sometimes with the repeats. It goes, I did knock it down to 0 at least 1 or 2 times, and it goes into destruction porn territory for a while, but it managed to pick itself up with the fun of like the apocalypse battle and everything. There's fun action here, and the Quicksilver scene is cool. This is not a bad. Ultimately, altogether, by the end, this is not a bad movie. It just hits a lot of the same shit. You can tell that they're really grasping by this point in the franchise to come up with new material. Other than the apocalypse thing, they're just kind of grasping it, coming up with other stuff for the other characters to do. But yeah, all in all, still a good movie for the fun of the action, and and all the actors are likable here as well. So yeah, all in all, I'd give it 3 stars out of 4. Good. So I did enjoy Batman vs Superman a little bit more because that felt more fresher to me. At least in Batman vs Superman, it didn't like retread a bunch of shit like this movie does. This movie has a bad habit of that. But ultimately, it overcomes that though, and starts to feel like more of its own fresh movie, which is why I wound up enjoying it. So yeah, it's a good movie. Where I would rank it, it's better than X Men Origins. It's better than it's better than X Men 3. I don't like it as much as the Wolverine. I really like the Japan setting in that movie. I don't like it anywhere near as much as X Men 1 or 2. Um, so I guess my order would be Days of Future Past, X Men 2, First Class, The Wolverine, this Apocalypse, then fucking X Men 3, And in last place is Wolverine Origins. That was horrible. I'm actually really looking forward though to the final Wolverine movie coming out later. Supposedly the final my ass scene, whatever. I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, so I would say Civil War and both Batman versus Superman were better than this. In my opinion, they were. I still like this movie though. It's still a good movie. But yeah, just as I said in my last video with Civil War, out of all the major comic book films I've seen this year, Deadpool's still been my favorite. I've enjoyed Deadpool more than Civil War, Batman vs Superman, or this. So far, Deadpool is the crowning achievement for me this year in terms of comic book films. So I'll see you guys again with the next review.